I want to preface this by stating that I've always been a skeptic when it comes to horror stories and supernatural occurrences. I firmly believe that everything can be explained rationally. However, there was an incident that happened to me a few years ago, one dark night, which continues to haunt me to this day. I was driving alone on a desolate road in the countryside. The night was pitch black, with no streetlights to guide my way. My car's headlights seemed feeble against the enveloping darkness. To make matters worse, a dense fog had begun to creep in, reducing visibility to a few feet ahead. As I continued down the road, my heart pounded with anxiety. It felt as if I was the only living soul in the vast expanse of nothingness. Suddenly, I heard a faint tapping sound on the roof of my car. Startled, I glanced in the rearview mirror, but there was nothing there. Shaking off my unease, I attributed the sound to the weather conditions and continued driving. But the tapping grew louder, and this time I could swear I saw a shadowy figure darting across the road behind me. Fear began to gnaw at me, and I instinctively pressed down on the accelerator, hoping to outrun whatever was haunting me. However, the car's engine started sputtering, and the vehicle slowed down, as if something was preventing it from moving forward. In a state of panic, I tried starting the car again and again, but it refused to cooperate. The tapping on the roof intensified, and I could now hear faint whispers coming from all around me. It was as if a legion of unseen beings surrounded my car, taunting and tormenting me. Out of desperation, I decided to step out of the car and inspect the engine. As soon as I opened the car door, an icy wind gushed in, causing me to shiver uncontrollably. I looked around, and through the fog I saw faint, glowing orbs hovering in the distance. The sight sent chills down my spine, and I knew I had to get back inside the car. As I sat back in the driver's seat, I noticed that the interior of the car was becoming colder by the second. The windows began to frost over, and my breath turned into visible puffs of white mist. I fumbled for my phone, hoping to call for help, but to my horror, the phone had no signal. It was as if I had been cut off from the outside world, trapped in a nightmare. Just then, a chilling voice echoed inside the car. "You shouldn't have come here. This is our domain." I felt a presence beside me, and when I turned my head, I saw a pale, ghostly figure sitting in the passenger seat, its eyes hollow and lifeless. Paralyzed with fear, I couldn't move or speak. The figure reached out a cold, bony hand towards me, and I could feel an icy grip on my shoulder. It spoke again, this time with an eerie calmness. "You cannot leave until you've paid the price for trespassing in our realm." In a last-ditch effort to escape, I closed my eyes and uttered a silent prayer. When I opened them again, the figure was gone, and the tapping on the roof had ceased. With trembling hands, I tried starting the car once more, and this time the engine roared to life. I wasted no time and sped away, leaving that nightmarish place behind me. As I drove on, I couldn't shake off the feeling of being watched. The fog thickened around me, and the road seemed to stretch on endlessly. To add to my terror, the road signs were now twisted and unreadable, making navigation nearly impossible. My headlights illuminated eerie shapes lurking in the fog, shadowy figures that vanished as quickly as they appeared. I felt a growing sense of unease, as if I had stumbled upon a realm that existed beyond our reality. In my desperation to escape, I took a turn onto a narrow side road. The path was overgrown with weeds and barely visible in the fog. The further I ventured, the darker and more sinister the atmosphere became. I couldn't help but wonder if I had inadvertently crossed into a realm that was not meant for mortal beings. The car's interior felt stifling, and I rolled down the windows to let in some fresh air. Instead, a chilling breeze swept through the car, carrying with it haunting whispers that seemed to echo from the surrounding woods. Every rational thought in my mind urged me to turn back, to find my way back to familiar surroundings. But an inexplicable force seemed to pull me deeper into the heart of this otherworldly landscape. As I continued along the twisted road, strange symbols appeared on the trees, glowing faintly in the darkness. They seemed to pulsate with an eerie energy, and I couldn't help but feel that they were watching me, judging me. In the distance, I caught sight of a dilapidated mansion, partially obscured by the thick fog. The sight sent shivers down my spine, but an irresistible curiosity gripped me. Against my better judgment, I parked the car and approached the decaying structure. The mansion loomed over me like a forgotten relic of the past. Its windows were shattered, and the wooden boards creaked with every gust of wind. The silence was suffocating, broken only by the distant cries of nocturnal creatures. As I cautiously stepped inside, the temperature plummeted, and an oppressive aura filled the air. The walls seemed to reverberate with a haunting resonance, as if the mansion itself was trying to communicate with me. Each room I entered felt like a glimpse into a tortured past. Old, dusty furniture lay abandoned, as if frozen in time. The sound of footsteps echoed from the empty hallways, but no one was there. The feeling of being watched intensified, and I couldn't shake the sensation of unseen eyes boring into my very soul. Unable to bear the unsettling atmosphere any longer, I retraced my steps to the car. As I approached, I noticed that the symbols on the surrounding trees had grown brighter, their glow now pulsing with an unnatural intensity. Before I could react, the car's engine roared to life on its own. The steering wheel jerked violently, and the car began to move, seemingly of its own accord. My heart pounded in my chest, and I tried desperately to regain control of the vehicle. But the car continued on its course, taking me deeper into the heart of this malevolent landscape. It was as if some unseen force had taken control, leading me to an unknown and terrifying destination. In a final act of desperation, I slammed on the brakes, bringing the car to a screeching halt. The symbols on the trees pulsed with fury, and an ear-piercing wail filled the air. I felt a surge of energy enveloping me, and then everything went black. When I awoke, I was back on the desolate road, my car parked where I had originally stopped. The fog had lifted, and the symbols on the trees had vanished. It was as if the nightmarish events had never happened. Shaken and bewildered, I drove away, leaving that cursed place behind me. To this day, I can't explain what I experienced that night. I still struggle to comprehend the events that unfolded during that night of horror. Was it a figment of my imagination, a result of exhaustion and fear? Or had I truly crossed paths with an otherworldly force that had temporarily pulled me into its dark realm? In the days that followed, I tried to put the nightmarish encounter behind me, chalking it up to a combination of fatigue and an overactive imagination. But deep down, I couldn't shake the feeling that something malevolent had taken an interest in me that night. As weeks turned into months, I found myself plagued by vivid and unsettling nightmares. In these dreams, I would find myself back on that desolate road, the fog thick and suffocating, the symbols on the trees glowing ominously. I would hear whispers in the darkness, beckoning me to return to the abandoned mansion. The nightmares were so vivid that they began to affect my waking life. I found it difficult to focus, my thoughts constantly drifting back to that fateful night. I became increasingly reclusive, avoiding driving alone at night and venturing into remote areas. The fear of encountering that malevolent force once more weighed heavily on my mind. One day, while trying to distract myself from my troubling thoughts, I decided to do some research on the area where the nightmarish events had occurred. To my surprise, I stumbled upon an old local legend about a cursed mansion hidden deep in the woods. According to the legend, the mansion had once belonged to a reclusive and mysterious family. Rumors circulated that they practiced dark and forbidden rituals, delving into the occult and making deals with malevolent entities. Locals claimed that the family had been cursed and their souls were bound to the mansion, forever trapped in an eternal torment. The legend went on to recount stories of travelers who had stumbled upon the cursed mansion, only to disappear without a trace. It was said that those who were unfortunate enough to encounter the malevolent force would be forever plagued by nightmares and visions, tormented by the restless spirits. As I read these accounts, a chill ran down my spine. It was as if the pieces of the puzzle were falling into place, confirming my darkest suspicions. The encounter I had that night was not a mere hallucination. It was a brush with the supernatural, a glimpse into a world beyond our understanding. Determined to find answers and put an end to the haunting nightmares, I sought out local historians and researchers who specialized in paranormal phenomena. Together we delved deeper into the legend of the cursed mansion, uncovering forgotten records and testimonies from those who had encountered the malevolent force. One particular account stood out: the story of a brave soul who had managed to break free from the malevolent force's grip. According to the testimony, the key to escaping the curse was to confront one's deepest fears and doubts head-on. Only by facing the darkness within could one hope to break free from the malevolent force's hold. With newfound determination, I set out to confront my fears. I returned to the desolate road where the nightmarish encounter had taken place, mustering every ounce of courage within me. As I stood there, the fog rolled in once again, and the symbols on the trees began to glow faintly. Instead of fleeing, I faced the symbols head-on, unafraid to confront the malevolent force that lurked in the shadows. I closed my eyes and focused on my deepest fears, acknowledging them and accepting them as a part of me. In that moment, the fog lifted and the symbols ceased to glow. The malevolent presence that had haunted my dreams retreated, its grip on me loosening. It was as if by facing my fears, I had regained control over my own destiny. As I walked away from that dark place, I felt a newfound sense of peace and empowerment. The nightmares gradually subsided, and I began to reclaim my life from the clutches of the supernatural. Although I may never fully understand what transpired that night, I now know that there are forces beyond our comprehension, forces that exist on the fringes of our reality. And while I remain a skeptic at heart, I also acknowledge that there are mysteries in this world that may never be fully explained. I share my story now as a warning to others who might be tempted to venture into the unknown. There are realms and entities beyond our understanding, and some doors are better left unopened. But for those who find themselves entangled in the web of the supernatural, remember that bravery and acceptance can be powerful weapons against the darkness. In the end, it is our resilience and courage that can lead us back to the light, breaking free from the shadows that threaten to consume us. And though the horror of that night will forever linger in my memories, I have emerged from the experience with a newfound appreciation for the fragility of our reality and the boundless depths of the unknown.